Hi, this is David Shepard. Good morning. I'm wanting to talk briefly about my entry into the CUDOPlays, the competition Fashion Monster. I'll be entering it along with my friend Kenny Chin into the competition and wanted to take a few minutes to explain a basic overview of how the game works so that help ease into the judging process just a little bit. Now I will say that currently it's set up for a single player, which is, well, just set up so that I can show the mechanics versus actually showing a competition between players. I will also say that while we did hire a colorist for the project, we didn't get anywhere near the number of illustrations fully colored that we expected. So the bulk of the game will be this black and white coloring, but just seeing some of the illustrations, I'll bring one up real quick. That was basically what we were going for in regards to final artwork. Now, setting up the game is fairly simple. You lay out the 4 regions, and then you draw 10 random cards from the regional decks, and these are the spares, and then you set them up on this portion of the region tile. Then you draw one off the top and put it over onto the side. Now there are guardian characters in the game, and if the guardians come out, they're kind of a boss, and it'll say on their banner to put them to the left. You can fight a guardian at any time, however be warned, it is a much tougher battle. Now, having said that, let's take a moment to look at your character cards. Your character cards are here. This is your character. This will be your health tracker. Now, you do get one of these death tokens, and there's going to be bonus points at the end if you died the most. Just shows how far you went out of your way for your fashion or whatever. Now, you take these number of health tokens equal to your character's current health, and you get that by just adding up those little hearts initially at the beginning of the game. Now when you take damage, you slide one of these tokens into the bottom bowl, but whenever you heal, you slide them all back up into the top bowl. Basically, if the top bowl ever empties, you have died, and then you have to pay 2 resources in order to fully heal. If you don't have 2 resources, then you pay what you have, and then you get to heal for free. Now, the other thing is your character card determines which dice that you roll. At the beginning of the game, all players will basically be rolling the white dice. So, you'll also start the game with 2 of each of these resource tokens of each of the 4 types. So 2 scales, 2 bones, 2 horns, 2 leather. Those are going to be your starting resources in the game. Now, on your turn comes in 3 phases. The first phase is basically upkeep, and what that means is you can pay 2 resources at any time to refill your health. Likewise, you can pay 1 of each resource, as shown at the back of this token, in order to craft a potion. And potions can help you refill health mid-combat. Now, whenever that phase of your turn can be handled during anybody else's turn. So you can do that at any time as long as you don't do it in the middle of combat. Next up is combat, and combat is, well, let's just take on this fellow right here. You put your pawn onto the character, and let's see if I can't get it without the glare. So this tells you that this is a Volt dropling. He has 5 health and will craft an additional horn. He also will craft a body type of armor. This tells you the element that he's in, which means what type of die gets unlocked. This tells you what he's weak against. If you use the energy type that he's weak against, those icons will be doubled. However, if you use the element type that he's strong against, in this case water, that damage will count for nothing. when you're rolling dice, basically you're taking generic symbols. So, let's say, yeah, okay. So you're taking generic symbols. In this case, you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage, which is more than enough to kill him. However, he's also weak against forest type damage, so you actually deal double the number of icons on this dice alone. So you'd instead be dealing 8 damage within a single round. And whenever you fight a monster, you include this black dice. And this black die can have any results from you taking damage, to the monster missing, to being able to block damage. Now, most of these monsters will not actually attack you outside of this little dice. The monsters that will are the Guardians, and the Guardians will always have at least 1 damage against you each round, unless, of course, you roll the shield. Whenever you defeat the monster, and should also mention, combat continues until either you or the monster or both die. Now, if you die, the monster runs away to the bottom of this deck. And then you have to pay 2 resources to fill. If you kill him, you go into the crafting portion, loot portion. If you do not kill him, and you both just kind of die, double KO, basically you take the resources that are on this card, so in this case, scale, scale, bone, and a horn, because he throws in that bonus resource. So you would get 2 scales, a bone, a horn, as well as one of these things, which are ribbons. I'll explain ribbons later, but in general, you take your loot, you take the ribbon, and then the monster exits the game completely. And then you have to pay 2 resources to heal. Now, ignoring the ribbon for now, if you decide to try, if you beat him, you get the loot, and then you have a choice. If you want, you can just double the loot, in which case you take everything that's pictured here twice, and then the monster just kind of goes away, exits the game. However, if you want, you can try risking the resources to attempt to craft an armor. And when you craft the armor, take a look at the portion that says recipe over there on the left. That's what you're going to have to pay in order to craft this armor. The points inside the stone pillar are the number of points you'll receive for having just crafted this armor. And then there's this portion right here, which tells you how many points the armor is worth if you actually match it along with matching pants. So for example, if you get another pair of pants that are yellow, at the end of the game it will help you score points. This tells you which die it unlocks, and this tells you how much health value it's going to increase. So if we take this piece, place it over here, because it's a top, it's always going to go on top of the top of your character. Now our health limit is 9, so we take another one of these tokens and we just pop it in the pool. If we ever go down in health, we take it out of the bottom, if possible, but if we ever go up, we put it in the top. Now, you can also, whenever you get a new piece of armor, it will go on top of the previous piece of armor. And you can't take a look at your pile until the end of the game to figure out which ones you have successfully acquired. Now, the game will end. We'll go ahead and put those right there. Because also, as you acquire new pieces of armor, your die pool is going to change. So normally on your turn, at the beginning of the game, you're going to roll the black and 2 white dice. However, you will always roll the black, but now it looks like you can roll the green and the yellow die whenever you attack on this turn. The game will be over when one of these piles empties, and you see that right there. Now there's going to be an equal number of turns, so that means one of the characters' cards will have the start player token. The other thing is all of these tokens, except for the ribbons, are meant to be unlimited. So if you ever run out of a certain type of token, go ahead and use a substitute. The exception to that is the ribbon, because the ribbon is one of those things that helps break the rules a little bit. You may notice this looks like a ribbon of the Volt type. Now, let's say we're at endgame scoring, and while this is great, you would get 4 plus 3 points for 7 for this set of armor. And at the end of the game, you can mix and match the armor however you see fit. But if we could just match, we could get 4 points, but that's not actually within the realm of reason. So this is where these ribbons come in. You take this ribbon and you cover up that elemental portion of the top armor, and then that ribbon makes this now a Volt shirt. Now it covers the bonus points on this one, but because these now match, you get those bonus 2 points. So 9 points instead of 7 ain't quite bad. The ribbons are the only resource in the game that is limited. Also, whoever died the most will get 3 pity points at the end of the game. However, if there's a tie, nobody gets the points. That's the basic rundown of Fashion Monster. Typically takes about 60 minutes to play. It can range wildly if players are grinding out one particular pile, but in general about an hour is the average play time. So thank you for considering us for CUDOPlays. It has been fun, and we look forward to the results on March 1st.